If you are a singer-songwriter and you're considering pursuing a career in the music industry, I've got a few words of wisdom for you after being in the industry for 30 so years. My name's Becky. This is the Empowered Indie Artists YouTube channel and podcast. If you are enjoying the content, I ask, please, will you just subscribe? Will you hit like? I really appreciate it. It will help my channel to grow. I've got lots of words of wisdom that I'm always handing out to people. And so if you're finding it helpful, I really appreciate that. Today, I want to give you 6 things I wish I had known as a singer-songwriter in my early 20s when I was just looking at the music industry going, okay, how do I make this work? First thing that I wish I knew was that writing good songs, great songs that connect with people is really the most important thing. I didn't realize that my songs were not really that great until I had been until I was in my 30s and was actually started to pitch my songs professionally. I had been writing since I was just a wee child, like 5 years old, making up songs, and didn't realize that it was a craft and a skill that needed to be worked on and developed just like my voice. So when I started getting feedback that I needed to work on my songwriting after writing my whole life, I was kind of shocked. So if you are in your early 20s and you're thinking, I want to be an artist, I want to write songs and make them connect with people, then get some coaching, get some help with that. Number two thing that I wish I knew as a singer-songwriter in my early 20s was that it's really important to network and connect with your community. Now, I'm an extreme introvert, and actually it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. I think I was a little more of a daredevil in my 20s as far as reaching out to people, but it really has always been hard for me, and it just continues to feel harder as I age, which is strange. But if you feel that you can build your artist career just in your own little bubble, that is not going to work. If by networking and making connections with people in your community, but also online, you will open up opportunities to yourself. You will find coaches and mentors, and then people that you can coach and mentor and give back to the community. So, making sure that you're connecting with people in the music industry is really an important thing. Number three thing I wish I knew was that pursuing a career in music is a long game. There is no quick and fast way to make it, and make it in air quotes, especially with our reality shows and the singing shows. It's easy to be, well, it's a little delusional to think that this is how it works. I've talked to many artists who that's their goal, is to get on a show. And first of all, that's not how success comes to most people. We have seen a few people find great success with those shows, but out of the hundreds and thousands, maybe millions of people that have auditioned for these shows over the years, we're talking like maybe 5 that have really had some great success. So you have to look at the odds there. That is one avenue that you can pursue as a way to help you um, hone your skills with auditions. And if you do get on the show, even if you don't win, but you get on the show, if you're willing to do what you need to do to capitalize on that, then that can be a great thing to propel you forward. But it is not the end all be all. So, back to the third piece of advice, it's a long game. If you're thinking this will happen in a year or two, you probably need to rethink and think about it in terms of building a business. Number 4 piece of advice that I would give you that I wish I heard: there are other ways to make a living from being creative musically than just being an artist. One thing that you're going to discover the longer that you pursue music is that you may not fit the mold of a typical artist who is headlining tours. That might not be what's right for you and your personality. Again, back to me when I was in my 20s, I spent thousands, gazillions of dollars on an album before I was ready. My songs weren't ready. My voice wasn't ready. I didn't know who I was or my brand or anything like that. That's beside the point. What happened was I started performing to support this album to try and sell it. And I sounded terrible as I performed because I was so freaking nervous. So I was like, how am I going to do this? I really get so nervous performing and I actually hate it. And it wasn't until later when I started working with a producer more regularly as a coach to singers, I started watching the process of creating in the studio and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best. I could totally do that." So, if you are feeling like maybe you don't fit the mold where, "Oh, when I'm on stage, I just come alive," maybe there are some other ways to build your business, build your brand around what your strengths are, and rather than trying to fit yourself into a shape that you don't fit. Number 5 piece of advice that I wish I had been told is that learning to be a musician in addition to working on your voice is really important. As a singer, we get hyper focused on being able to sing the highest notes, the biggest, beltiest notes, having this broad range. For some reason in our singing training, our musicianship can really be neglected. If I was learning how to play the violin or the guitar, my teacher is going to be spending time on a lot of music theory, a lot of rhythm exercises, and for some reason, in vocal training, we do not get that same attention to detail of musicianship and theory. It's very easy to just go to a voice teacher and never be taught anything about music theory. While I am someone who says, look, you don't need to absolutely know music theory to be the best, singer songwriter, I do 100% believe that the more you know, the more powerful your gift as a singer and a songwriter can be. The bottom line is that the more that you know as a musician, the more employable you will be as a singer. If someone hands you a lead sheet that has the lyrics and the melody notes written in, and you're looking at it like, deer in headlights, I don't even know what I'm doing here, then you're not going to get those kind of jobs. And if you're looking to be an employable singer, or let's say create your own business where you can do vocal sessions in your recording studio at home, they're going to be sending you lead sheets or some type of musical information that you need to be able to read and interpret. So you do not have to go college level music theory where they teach you everything from, Gregorian chant to 12 tone row composition. I think I went to college and took a lot of music theory and I learned like this much information and I use this much for my music production business. So that just gives you an idea of what you really, really need to know is some basic music theory, not the history of music theory over time, which is what they teach you in college. Okay, that's probably another video I should get into, right? And number 6, being a freelance musician, singer songwriter is actually about being an entrepreneur and business owner. Think about it this way, and you'll always know what to do. And that is one thing that I wish I knew when I was young and before I spent all that money on an album that I ended up not liking, was that I was really investing in a business. And especially nowadays, there is no reason to jump to the studio as your first step. There's so many more steps that go ahead. Just like if you were going to start a restaurant, you're going to go through a process before you actually go and make, open your first store and sell your first pizza. There's tons of things that happen before that. So that is what I would recommend to you as a singer-songwriter. Focus on, who am I? What do I want with this music thing? What does my future life look like? Do I want to be performing on tours, or would I rather be in the studio? Do I want to be in Vegas playing in a lounge bar? See what that success looks like to you, and then start making decisions based on that. And know that just like starting any business, it's going to require a good amount of time, of consistent effort, a good amount of money invested in content and music and photography, the whole thing, before you're going to ever see any return on your investment. And the return on investment is going to be happening not from the streaming pay, because we all know that streaming royalties are pretty small. So it's up to you to nurture your relationships with your fans, which are your customers in your business. Nurture those relationships with your fans, and you can actually build a sustainable income with just your small group of fans that love you and support you. I hope this was really helpful, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, any other suggestions you have, videos you'd like me to make, or things you'd like me to talk about. I'm really happy to do that. And be sure to grab your artist branding workbook. It's totally free. There's a link in the description. It's all about these types of things, figuring out who you are and what you want your future business in music to look like. I hope you'll take advantage of it, and I'll see you next time.